Now, do you think J. Rob and Mike Rabel will do any trade moves? I mean, like we talked about earlier, a lot of people were, name dropping players and stuff like that from other teams. What do you think?
It's hard for me to see them making a trade for a tackle simply because I mean the one guy that's out there is Andre Dillard from the Eagles. And there's reports that they might have moved him in the offseason, but they ultimately didn't. And now they're playing and their starting left tackle is injured. Dillard is coming back from an injury himself, and I don't think has been available yet this year. So, there's a lot of risk involved in trading for a guy that's coming off of an injury that you don't know anything about. Like, obviously, the Eagles would know a lot more about it, but they're not necessarily going to share medical information necessarily on him before a trade.
Right.
So I wouldn't mind looking at that, but he's expensive from a salary cap standpoint and not under contract next year, so he's a pure rental.
Oh,
Um, wouldn't hate the idea of it, but I mean, because I think he's a better player than any of the tackle options they've got currently on the roster, but I don't think that that's probably going to happen. The DJ Moore stuff, I do buy a little bit just from the fact of he's under contract till 2025 or through 2025. So he's not a rental. He would be like a long-term building block, which if you look at this team, they're going to have to address wide receiver in the offseason one way or another, right? Like you're probably not going to want to go into another season with just Burks and Woods and like a bunch of Jags on the roster, right?
mhm.
So I think you look at trade if you traded for DJ Moore, his cap hit this year is almost nothing for a team that would be trading for him. Like it's less than $1 million because of how the Panthers structured his extension.
Okay.
So cap hit works beautifully for this year. Now next year the cap hit's about $20 million, but you could knock $10 million off the cap by letting Woods go, who's going to be 31 next year. And none of his money is guaranteed. So you could kind of make that swap and get a guy that's 25 years old, been hyper productive, could be a long term, kind of running mate for Treylon Burks, and have a better foundation for your wide receiver room, moving forward for the next 3 to 4 years as you build around maybe Malik Willis or a new quarterback. But possibly they could keep Tannehill for a while longer too, I suppose. But either way, whatever quarterback you have, you would rather have a couple good receivers to work with, and more would give them that. But I don't know if the Panthers are actually going to trade him. I mean, obviously, there's been reports that teams are calling about him, but to this point, obviously, they haven't made a move, and they just signed him to an extension. And the coach is fired, but we don't know if the GM's going anywhere. So,
Yeah.
why would he trade away a guy that he just gave a new contract to?
Yeah, definitely.